Okay, it's going for 4 in the afternoon, and I've put off talking about the Epstein emails all day today. I made one video about the subject last night, and I understand that this is the kind of content, this is the topic that is trending hugely in the algorithm. I understand that this would get me mad clicks and lots of engagement, and I'm just really having a hard time talking about it. I also understand that it's really important to make sure that this information is like at the forefront of the headlines. We have to keep this in front of the American people and the world because we have to make sure that we get justice for Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I understand that. And yet at the same time, I'm really struggling to talk about it. I posted about this a little bit on Blue Sky earlier today, but I'm really struggling to comprehend how awful and massive this cover-up is, because that's what it is. It's a cover-up. How many people are involved and how far it goes and for how many years these women and girls have been denied justice. I mean, we knew it on one level, we knew it, but I think we are all just starting to actually comprehend the depth and breadth and like level of depravity that exists. Right? I think it's hard for many of us to wrap our brains around man's inhumanity to man. And here we are seeing the super rich who felt very free to victimize people. They felt very free to treat other human beings, many of whom were children, to treat them as their own toys for their own amusement, with very little care about what happened to those people. And then to see how many people have protected Epstein over the years, either because they, whether they're being blackmailed or whether it is because they also were fine with diddling kids. They also were fine with trafficking children and women. And of course, not only understands but protects like. Right? Why do you think Donald Trump surrounds himself with men who end up convicted of harming children? Right? There really wasn't that much hubbub back in May when Donald Trump's former spiritual advisor, megachurch pastor Robert Morris, was indicted and then later convicted. Nope, I don't believe that's right. I believe he pled guilty in October. Yes, he pled guilty in October to crimes against children. Crimes of a certain nature. There also was reporting that came out early this morning that Matt Gaetz' alleged teenage victim was hoping to use the money from Matt Gaetz to get herself braces. If I see one more headline that calls her an underage accuser, she was a child. There is no such thing as an underage woman. I'm so sick of seeing that used in the headlines. Could we please just be honest about what is happening? These are adult men victimizing children. And Donald Trump has surrounded himself with loads of them during his career. And speaking of not being willing to be honest about what has happened, I know a lot of us have seen what Megyn Kelly said, but if you haven't, this for me is one of the hardest things, because this is a woman saying this. I've really struggled with this clip, but please watch it. Also, real quick, this clip that I'm going to show you is a side-by-side of something Megyn Kelly said in the past with what she said specifically about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, so that you can see the comparison. You can see how MAGA is willing to move the needle. They are willing to move the goalpost however often it takes, however far is necessary in order to protect Donald Trump, their cult leader. So please watch this side by side. It's been reshared over several platforms, but originally it's from Accountable GOP.
Again, the legal age of consent in California is 18, so there's no consenting for a 14 or even a 17-year-old in these circumstances. As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believe, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kooky, now they call it sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a young children. We have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. You can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old.
It doesn't matter how many times I watch that clip. There's no other appropriate response than just like sheer horror at how disgusting Megyn Kelly is. She is trying to justify Jeffrey Epstein assaulting children, trafficking children in order to protect Donald Trump. She is framing it this way to protect Donald Trump. It should not require an explanation to understand how adult men assaulting children is wrong, no matter what their age is. And guess what, Megyn Kelly? Trump and Epstein and whoever else assaulting adult women, trafficking adult women, also wrong. But y'all are the family values party. Y'all are the protect the children party. Y'all are the fucking Pizzagate party. Every accusation is a confession from y'all. I realized when this set of emails got dumped that Pizzagate was just another accusation that is really a confession. There was no conspiracy in the bottom of a pizza parlor to traffic little kids, whatever. Nope. But you know what? The Epstein files are real. This massive cover-up of wealthy, powerful men. And looking at just these emails, which are just the tip of the iceberg, it definitely includes Donald Trump. Peter Thiel is in these emails. So many powerful people around Donald Trump are in these emails. People that he's staffed in his government now. Yeah, every accusation is a confession. But getting back to this thing with Megyn Kelly, like, how can anybody try to justify assaulting girl? I understand why a number of these men are. I understand why men excuse this behavior, right? Why men use the phrase underage women. Oh, she was just like really adult looking, right? She looked old for her age. It's even worse because you know she's younger, and yet you're like, oh, I'm going to justify this by pretending that we don't know that she's a literal child. Oh, I know that YouTube is going to demonetize this video. Anyway, we can't talk about the things that our elected officials and powerful, wealthy men in this country, billionaires in this country, do to our children. Social media doesn't want us to be able to talk frankly about what's happening, what has been happening for many years. But Megyn Kelly on Fox News can say all of that. So she's saying she knew for years that these were teenage girls, and she was like low-key fine with it because they're not 5 or 8 years old. And I guess maybe I shouldn't be horrified at Megyn Kelly taking this position because the cult of MAGA is clearly going to do anything and everything to protect Donald Trump. No matter how vile and disgusting the details are, no matter how much of the truth is revealed, they will still try to blame the victims or excuse the behavior. I didn't even have to get into any of the emails in this video to be thoroughly horrified, be thoroughly repulsed by the Republicans, their complete lack of humanity, their complete depravity, the like pure evil of Megyn Kelly sitting up there trying to explain, justify the assault of many children for years, and all of the powerful people who protected it, protected Jeffrey Epstein, protected other powerful people in this country so that they could continue to victimize children. There's just no words. There's no words. Megyn Kelly said the quiet part out loud. This is what so many MAGA think. I would love to hear from all y'all God-fearing Christians who voted for Donald Trump. Are you willing to make these kinds of claims? Are you willing to excuse it? Is there no behavior that you will not excuse in order to continue to worship your dear leader? Is there no crime? Is there no abuse that is too much for you? Or will you also try to blame the victims? Will you also try to diminish it and justify it? It makes me sick to read these emails. I know we've got to keep doing it. I know we've got to keep wading through it. Otherwise, the narrative will be controlled by people like Megyn Kelly. And we can't let that happen, or the victims will never get justice.